Welcome to the COVID Diaries interviews, funded by the New Hampshire Humanities Collaborative and the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. Mercedes Mannarino interviews Linda Lee Desrochers.
It's been a very long 11 months. You've been working the entire time. You've been here, you've been at Bob's, you've been navigating the particulars of being in so many places at once. What's been keeping you sane lately? Because I kind of want suggestions.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually a person who finds it very easy to keep busy, like yourself. So there are so many projects, crafts. Extracurricular activities, reading, that keep me busy. I feel like I have not been bored in the least.
Honestly, neither have I.
And as far as like, except for being more shut in and not seeing friends actually in person, I mean, other than that, like going to work every day has been the same. Financial has been the same, which I'm really, really lucky to have,
also.
because that made a big difference and whatever. It is a little more difficult in the winter, but because we're not out as much. But yeah, I have just kept busy with all. What's really kept me sane is in this past 11 months, I had such enjoyment with all the time spent with my immediate family. I don't think I spent as much time with them. I've spent more time with them in the past year than I had in a few years previous because they weren't going out. We found things to do together, games and family fun and movies, and I have thoroughly enjoyed that.
Oh God,
Just sitting having a glass of wine with the kids.
It really has. It's been so wonderful to be here. Part of what's helped me maintain a sense of normalcy is like I've also been going to work and I've also been to school, so I haven't had the same experience that some have where they've quite literally been like shut inside.
Right, exactly. I actually do a lot of winter activities too, so that keeps me outside also. But there hasn't been snow to play in.
There really hasn't, no. We've had a pretty laid back winter, which I'm kind of grateful for.
Yeah. If you're not going to go play in it.
Right.
I do plan on building a snowman tomorrow. I do. What was I going to say? It will be nice when the weather gets a little warmer, because I did do a lot of outdoor visiting with my sister.
Right, yeah.
By the fire, just staying apart.
It seems like you've been like fairly adept, or at least I think more so than I have, in communicating with your loved ones digitally, because I've only just kind of figured out Zoom, and when we had that call for Christmas, you were like...
That was our first Zoom.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Because over the summer, we've been getting together with, so my family's very small. It's, Deb and Andre, and then Corey, Whitney, and JC.
Right.
So we've been getting together by the fires, more so than we ever have, like I said before. But Evan and Miranda haven't been part of that because it was a small gathering. Do you know what I mean? Still social distancing. So Evan and Miranda have not seen my side of the family.
I don't think I've met...
Since Zoom,
Yeah, I don't think I've met Deb and Andre yet.
Not. They're dying to meet you.
I'm dying to meet them as well.
Yeah.
What is it? It's so... I do this thing almost every morning that I'm here is I wake up before Evan, and he will wake up sometime after me and see me like scrolling through the New York Times, just ashen face.
Okay. I also the same. Every morning I go on my news app. It's like, do I really want to look?
I know months and months ago they were projecting that the development of a vaccine could take 2-3 years, but
right. That I know.
We already have we have several options for the vaccine.
But unfortunately, the vaccine that we have it's not like vaccines of the past. In other words, I'm totally vaccinated, yet I could be giving COVID to anybody, because you could still have it. I could still have it in my nasal passages, my mouth. My body's going to stop the vaccine's going to stop my body from getting sick,
Interesting.
but I still could be carrying it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So I still have to, I can't just walk in to see the grandparents, and
Right.
I still have to wear the mask and the whole bit until they get vaccinated.
Right.
So it really needs, a lot of people have to be vaccinated for this to work.
I think the herd immunity rate's like 70 to 80% of the total population.
Yeah.
Because you got the vaccine earlier than anyone else I knew.
As soon as it came out, December 15th. Yeah.
December 15th, really. And was that kind of, they rolled it out for all the hospital staff, or was it like...
No, departments.
Okay.
Certain departments.
Right, and you work in...
X-ray.
X-ray.
Actually, X-ray wasn't in the first round.
Really?
X-ray, who I go into COVID patients' rooms every day and do their X-rays. X-rays were not on the first level. But after a week went by and they had plenty of vaccine, they opened it up to X-ray.
Okay.
And different. It was mostly patient-facing, emergency room went first. And I do work in the emergency room, but technically my department is X-ray.
Interesting.
So, yeah, but we were not happy that we were not on the first. We thought it was a mistake and found out it wasn't.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, a lot of my coworkers, they go right into the ICU rooms, but it's all fine now.
It's all good
we're
now.
Good.
I did a few comments over the past couple of months that I thought were interesting about some of the patients that you've seen who have COVID, some of their X-rays. I want to say you said something that really put it into perspective. You said someone told you it was like breathing ice.
Yes.
So what other...
Actually, that was my, when I do go into X-ray, there's a lot of people that are just sitting in the bed and they just don't look that sick.
Mm-hmm.
But they were sick enough to come to the hospital, and once you start talking to them, their head is killing them. They're not gasping for breath, but breathing is not easy, or they have the fever and they're just, or no sense of smell or taste. So it just presents so differently. And then you have another one right, in the next door that's on a vent and is really doing poorly. It's just presents so differently.
Has there been any kind of, I don't want to say consistency, but maybe predictability in the trajectory? Really?
Nope. But when the patient does get the COVID pneumonia, it's the same look on the X-ray. There are some days we just go into room after room and it's that same X-ray.
What does it look like?
It is a pneumonia that affects the bases of the lungs, and it's just almost what do they call it? Not a glassy appearance, but
milky.
Yeah.
Because I've seen.
But there's a way to call it. The grain glass opacities. Totally having a block.
That's okay.
But it was just, that was really, to have that pop up on the machine, one after the other, that same X-ray basically. And
I've known you always to be like a very like generally sunny person, very like positive outlook.
Definitely.
But how have you coped?
I think that for me, my interaction with each patient is very limited and short-lived. I go in and I take their picture. Basically, I don't see them again.
Okay.
Whereas a nurse is taking care of the same patient for her entire shift, getting to know them, you know what I mean? Coming back the same day, talking with her coworkers, kind of knowing what's going on, getting report, and they kind of get to know what happens to the patient. I don't know what happens to the patient once I've taken their X-ray. They go off into the hospital, and then I don't hear anything again. Because I work in the emergency room.
Right.
My coworkers who do X-rays in the hospital, they follow patients more than me. But in the emergency room, I really only see them that one time. So I think that's why...
There's just not as many like opportunities to
it's not as close. Yes.
Yeah, to get
close.
Invested in them.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. Just the fact that it's happening over and over again is disheartening. Definitely. But I don't get that personal. I do for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. So I think that made a big difference. I don't see how the ICU nurses must have a very difficult time.
Yeah, I was about to ask. So what have there been any like general trends in like the attitudes of your coworkers? Like, the reason I mentioned this is one of my previous interviewees specifically described how she would kind of rapidly oscillate between like peaks of like intense happiness and hope, and then these really, really low moods, almost on the daily.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not had that. One thing I've seen during the past 11 months is everybody coming together in a way that has been amazing. Amazing. Just everybody working together. Mm-hmm. And the generosity of everybody, even outside the medical field, the donations they've made to us in, food and cards and encouragement. It was really great to see. It sticks in my mind. It's just like everyone coming together. You just felt part of something, like we're gonna, get through this. Mm-hmm. So that was I loved being part of it. But if I had to be, not that I loved that it happened, but I mean I loved being part of everybody coming together, helping each other.
Like you don't necessarily, like, I really don't like being in the storm, but I have an excellent crewmate. I have an excellent crew on this ship.
Exactly. Everybody working together.
You sound hopeful.
I am. Definitely.
I mean, honestly, like, what else can you be? Exactly. What else are you going to do?
Exactly. And it's definitely seen trends. In the summertime, it went way down.
Right.
The graph of the hospital was like two mountains. You know what I mean? It went down. It went down in the summer, and it definitely went up. It's going down a little bit right now.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've reached almost as bad as the spring, but now it's going down. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it will. Of course, we do have Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow, which might create a trend.
I remember last summer. It had started to dip in the summer. To dip, and then Memorial Day happened, and yeah.
There are just a lot of people that truly don't get it. Still.
What was it? I think it was I want to say it was either a mayor. It was a mayor in a New Jersey town who, during a public panel, one of his constituents said, "Oh, it's so uncomfortable to wear a mask," and he said, "You know, it's also uncomfortable when you die."
Or breathing ice.
And that's the thing is that I understand the need to play it off and to play it cool, and I understand that being completely filled with doom and doom surfing every morning and panicking, those are two extremes, and neither of them are healthy, but you do need to be in the middle, like.
Exactly. I do have a great heartwarming story with one of our employees.
Please do tell.
So Gina, she's one of the head nurses in the emergency room. She also, trauma is her specialty. But what she did was, at the height of COVID in the spring, she was with an emergency room patient who ended up dying, and she was the person that was there, not the family. And because the family's not allowed. Right. Even right now, there's no visiting in the hospital. It's back to that.
Okay.
So if an elderly patient broke a bone right now, their family members have to drop them off, and they're alone in the emergency room. Which happened to my father-in-law, actually.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, right. He had broken his arm.
Right, and I was there, thank goodness, because I was working, so that worked out well. But anyway, Gina was with us, and she just thought it was so sad that she was the person with this person who died and not the family, that she's been on TV for it and everything. She started Pictures for Patients. So what she did was she ended up buying some equipment that she could print pictures digitally, and she, to all of us on Facebook, she put out that she's going to be starting Pictures for Patients, and if there's anyone who knows anyone who's in the hospital, if their loved ones want to send pictures of their loved ones to have on the wall, so they'll be with them in the room, she will print them up and deliver them. And this started in the spring, and she's been interviewed on TV for it, and it's come across on so many different things. I think that it was Pictures for Patients.
Pictures for Patients.
Yeah, and she got so much response, like she asked all of us on Facebook to put out the word, and it was just by word like that, because it wasn't like advertised or anything. Of course. And she's been doing that. She's done quite a few, so that they can, they can have pictures of their loved ones with them, or any notes or anything. She'll deliver it.
I love that.
I know. She really went out of her way.
That I feel like we've seen so much. At least I've heard so much of that from the medical community. That combination of like compassion and ingenuity.
Mm-hmm. One of my coworkers, Ryan, his parents-in-law both had COVID at the same time.
Oh God.
So he wasn't doing well. He was up in ICU on a vent, and his wife had COVID at home, but then she was not feeling well and came into the hospital. And I did her X-ray, and she said to me, she goes, I don't think I'm going to get as sick as my husband, because, she was on a vent the next day.
Oh my God. And
they were both in side-by-side rooms in ICU, and they were there for a while, and the nurses actually, he was not doing well at all, and the nurses went through a lot of work to get her bed into his room so they could hold hands, not even conscious, but hold hands one last time, and they asked the family to come in. So Ryan and his wife, and even though they were not supposed to be visitors,
right.
And they had their last time as a family together. And while they were there, they did some fingerprinting of each one, and I forget how they did it, but as a gift to the family after he died, they had it framed for each member of the family, and it was their hands or fingerprints in the form of a heart on their last night together. So there's been a lot of, there's a lot of stories like that. What the nurses are going through is just, it's almost hard to comprehend.
It truly is.
And he did pass away. She's still got a long way to go.
Right.
And that's what people don't realize. A lot of people, once they leave the hospital, they still have a long way to go.
Yeah, one of my favorite coworkers actually, he was out for I think 3 weeks. He just came back, and he said, I had a really rough time, and honestly I'm still a little bit fragile. And he's a fairly healthy guy. He's probably like in his mid-40s, mid-50s.
Well, it's people like that, and hopefully he won't be one of them, but it's called the long haulers.
I've heard about it.
It's like 6 months later. I mean, even now, one of the PAs was saying the other day, we keep getting patients who have had COVID. They're coming back and they're saying they're still not feeling good. It's months later. And they just, it's just, for some people it can really linger.
And that's, and circling back to the earlier point you made, that there's absolutely no way to predict how it will play out for you.
Exactly. It's crazy. I know somebody who got COVID, has diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart problems. And for him, it was like having a very, very bad cold. And he lost his sense of smell and taste. It's probably been 2 months now, and he still doesn't have it back. In the scheme of things, that doesn't sound like very much, but that's a big thing.
All right, well, let's lighten up a little.
Well, you want some,
No, it is important. In the interest of journalistic integrity, I need both these heartwarming stories and these moments of reflecting on the magnitude of the whole thing. Is there anything that you would like the people to know?
I would just... I would just say try to stay safe. It's for a short term. I mean, if we can do this and do it now, we can get past it. Some people are just not, they're just not acting any differently. There's a world pandemic going on. We have to act differently and hope that we can get over it.
Special thanks to the Community College System of New Hampshire. Faculty mentors Krista Zoba, Sally Bachelani, Kara Shenoy, and Paula Delbonis Platt, along with Dawn DeAngelis of New Hampshire Public Television, PBS, the University of New Hampshire, the Humanities Project at the University of New Hampshire, and its co-directors, Krista Law Jackman and Molly Campbell. Leslie Barber at the Community College System of New Hampshire, audio editor, William Forrest Platt, copyright, New Hampshire Humanities Collaborative and CCSNH 2021.